People are so selfish. No consideration for others. Me, as soon as the government gave the instruction, I was straight on the phone to the vet. Got my Jeremy done 2 weeks ahead of the deadline. Just a quick jab and a blue tag in his ear. There, done. Not so much as a whimper. That's my Jeremy. Isn't it, my boy? Isn't it, isn't it? I mean, what price a human life? Some people can't imagine it, can they? That they could get a deadly disease from man's best friend. Well, there it is. I won't now, will I, Jeremy? Not now. You had your job like a good boy. As for the cat people, complete anarchy as you'd expect. I've had 2 cats in my garden just this morning with no blue tag. I think they belong to her across the way. The one with the 3 old cars on the drive and all the gentlemen and callers. The deadline only passed yesterday, so let's give a bit of leeway. I'm biding my time. I mean, none of us wants to be a telltale tit now, do we? But we're talking about everybody's safety here, including my safety. Not that I'm that worried. I've had a good long life, much longer and healthier than my dear Jill. But I just don't understand why people are so selfish.
Stay at home, protect our NHS. We will keep everything constantly under review. Thank you all very much. Stay at home, protect our NHS. The roadmap continues to be one that we are.
Audrey's son is dead. He was only 43. Who'd have thought it? Great big strapping fella like that. Got it on Tuesday. Dead by Friday. Awful. I didn't know him well, but I remember him from Audrey's 80th. Life and soul of the party he was. And oh, the voice when he sang. She had a karaoke. Like an angel. La 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 la. Such a sensitive but strong man. A real leader of the pack, I'd say. He was a plumber, you see. In and out of people's houses, spread-eagled out with his head under a sink, picking up dog and cat hairs on his overalls. Awful. Well, I called them about her cats. I'd left it a whole week beyond the deadline, and enough was enough. I told them to come to my garden, because after all, that's where her cats always are. The poisoned chalice of it being a decent size, rather than her scraggly little patch. She's concrete to get over anyway.
Stay at home, protect our NHS. Going to the pub myself and cautiously but irreversibly raising a pint of beer. Stay at home to my lips. Protect our NHS.
I know what I did was the right thing, and I always pride myself on doing the right thing. I mean, as we keep saying on the television, what price a human life? But I couldn't believe it when the soldiers got out their guns. What is it, like a tranquilizer dart, I say? Help you catch them? No, he says. Live rounds. Neutralise the threat. But can't you catch them? Send her over the way in the bill. Bang! Apparently, what?
Stay at home, protect our NHS, and save lives. There is absolutely no question of people being asked to produce certifications.
I've had a chance to think it through now, and although I did feel awful about her cats, I can't help feeling it's the way it's got to be. What price a human life? I can't stop thinking of Audrey's son. Great big strapping fella like that. Regrettably, if people don't comply, then their pets must pay the price. Better that than a human being pays the price. The Prime Minister was talking to us about this only this evening on the television. He announced that all untagged dogs must now be destroyed on sight. I was shocked because, to be honest, I've never liked cats that much anyway. But dogs, still, it's how it's got to be. Keep everyone safe. Not you though, Jeremy. No, not you, Jeremy. You've had your tag like a good boy. Stay at home, protect our NHS.
I do wish to give hostages to
stay at home,
protect our NHS. Life will begin to get
stay
back to protect our NHS.
The Prime Minister's on the television again. Put on his very serious face. He very much regrets it. But all cats, including tagged ones, must now be destroyed. The vaccine isn't working properly. And dogs, some dogs, including border collies, spaniels, and Labradors, they must now also be destroyed to keep everyone safe. My Jeremy's 1/4 Labrador. You wouldn't know it to look at him, but it's in his documents. I know it's the right thing, and I always pride myself on doing the right thing. What price a human life? But Jeremy's my constant companion, closer than any human, really, since my Jim died. My cousin has a farm in Cornwall. Maybe the two of us could hide there. I don't think you could possibly be infectious, could you, Jeremy? You're only a 1/4 Labrador after all. But I've never broken the law, Jeremy. Not ever. I've always done the right thing. Stay at home, protect our NHS.
The struggle is by saying
stay at home, protect our NHS.
We are now making progress in this incredible national
stay at home, protect our NHS.
We never pick against an enemy we still don't
experience. Protect our NHS. And stay at home, protect our NHS, and save lives. Stay at home, protect our NHS.
I do wish to give hostages to
stay at home, protect our NHS.
Life will
begin to get
back
to. What have I done? I decided I couldn't go to Cornwall. If Jeremy was infectious, it would put other people's lives at risk, including my cousin. I did think about hiding him in the house. In the attic, maybe. But that's no life for either of us, is it really? So, after much reflection, I made the call. The soldiers came for him. I was shocked when they said they'd have to take me too. So now, here I am in this small room, like a prison cell really. Sometimes I hear the dogs barking in the distance, and I think I can hear Jeremy. They're experimenting on them, hoping to find a way out of this. Experimenting on me, and the others here too. All of us older people, because we might have been exposed. They say they know it's drastic, but they must find a solution before it. I'm feeling pretty lonesome in here now. I did have a roommate, nice enough woman. Although no conversation about anything other than her dog. She wasn't in her bed this morning. A guard came and took away all her things. I wonder what they've done with her. Still, at least I can take comfort in the fact that I've always done the right thing.
There's supposed to be a chair here.
If that's all we have, you will find we need nothing more. Every step.
I've always struggled with my mental health, but oh, come on! What are you doing? What are you doing? This is, I said up at the start, down at the end. Up at the start, down at the end. Have you ever worked in theatre before? This is unbelievable. Never work in a theatre again.
We have all the time.
I've always struggled with my mental health, but creative writing has always been my saving grace. I don't know where I'd be without writing. I write anything. Poems, short stories. I didn't write any of it expecting anyone to read it, except from friends and family. The doing was the main thing, not any expected glory. But last year, I wrote my first play. I have a friend who writes plays, and he sometimes gets them on, but he seems to take ages. All those rejections. But me, 6 months after I finished it, and with no great effort on my part, it's going to be produced. Just a little theatre above a pub. But it's going on! A professional production of my play, The Devil's Rapport. I showed it to someone who works with this mental health charity I volunteer for, and they showed it to someone who runs a theatre company, and within a few weeks, we got funding for it! I go for my first meeting with the director. Now, Jack Stark has been to RADA, originally an actor, now a director working exclusively in new writing. I don't know why, but I think I expected some posh bloke in his 50s with a beard. You know, a safe pair of hands. Yeah, that's what I was expecting. A safe pair of hands. A benign, godlike figure with a safe pair of hands. But Jack was full of surprises. We meet at a pub close to where he lives, because he says in his email he's very pushed for time. When I walk in, the place is half empty. There's absolutely no one who looks like a RADA educated theatre director. No, definitely not. There's a couple of old men. Oh, a ferret-looking younger man who keeps staring at my tits. And a bunch of students. Joe, says the ferret. I can spot a playwright a mile off, he says. Bag of nerves, the lot of you. Mind you, you're a lot better looking than most. Isn't just politics that showbiz for ugly people? No, it definitely wasn't me who set it off on the wrong foot. Now, the point is, he says, I work a lot with new writing. And I wouldn't take on a job, certainly not for £250 a week, if I didn't see some merit in it. Oh, he would. And then he lists all that's wrong with my play with an air of utter contempt. No. I tell him I'm very open to rewrites and try to discuss bits of the play which, frankly, he doesn't seem to understand. But he says he's not interested. I'm really confused. Surely, at this stage, a month before rehearsals, it's time to get together and make it the best script possible! But Jack says that'll all be worked out in the rehearsal room. I tell him I'm free every day to come along. You're welcome to be there, he says. But listen, Madame, you need to understand how the theatre works. We can't have writers interfering. You've got to hand it over. Besides, as well as me, you've got some of the finest professionally trained actors in the local area. Only a fool would fail to respect the immense wealth of talent in that room. I make my excuses and leave. Suddenly, this doesn't feel like a dream come true anymore. I wait a few days, then I talk to the theatre company. I'm honest, and I say, I don't think he's the right director for my play. Oh, come on. They say, oh, it's too late to find someone else, and he's a very good director, has worked miracles in new writing. I read some of the reviews, and Jack's direction is singled out for praise. He's clearly not a very nice person, but if he gets stuff done, perhaps I have to grit my teeth. Perhaps this is the way it is in the theatre. So, there I am, 2 weeks later, Monday morning, 10 o'clock. The sun is shining, and the church where we're rehearsing has the most amazing modern stained glass window, and everything feels perfect. I hear chatting and laughing, and when I walk in, it goes silent. Oh, it's like someone died. I don't understand. Although, in hindsight, word must have got to Jack that I complained, and now he's turning all against me. The read-through is a sombre affair. Even though it's partly meant to be a comedy, So, you know, it's so pointless and nitpicky. They're literally analysing my typos. Oh, it's pretty brutal when it comes to discussing the characters, especially the one based on me. Carly, the woman playing me, says she's finding it hard to relate, despite what she's been through. Are we meant to sympathise? She wonders. Or is she just a self-obsessed loon? To that brigade, retorts another one. Oh, and they all laugh. Jack ends before lunch by saying, autobiographical anecdotes doth not a drama make. Doth not. What a fucking twat! At lunch, I'm pretty much cold-shouldered. They all know Jack well. First lesson of directing, Jack says at some point. Oh, yeah, get the casting right. Yeah, hire people that are always going to agree with you, I think. Carly keeps giving me self-pitying looks, and Ben, the younger one, just seems embarrassed by me, like I'm some sort of crazy aunt. PJ, the older one, about 35, is just fucking scary. He plays the devil, essentially, in the play, but he's just like the devil, in a lean, chain-smoking, David Bowie type way. He's hot, too. But definitely scary. A miracle. Ah! On the third day of rehearsal, PJ asked me a question about the play, which might suggest he considers me, the writer, might know better than anyone else. Only time in the whole process that happens. He gives me a look that seems to say, I know what you're going through. I don't doubt that he, like the others, maybe thinks it's a shit play, and maybe it is. But it's nice to be shown some basic respect as a human being. After that, I think things might get better, but then Jack announces the play will become a semi-devised piece, and they start improvising around my scenes. Pew, 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 pew! Take that motion! Pew, pew, pew! Oh, no, why? Ah! The new scenes are very intense, and all the humour completely disappears. In my opinion, they're overacting. There's a lot of, they're emoting! But nothing that makes you feel anything. Jack's also very keen on physical, theatre, techniques, and puppetry! At the end of the first week, he had those sorts of things in, and none of it has anything to do with my play. I see nothing. I've kind of given up. I don't feel I can win against 4 of them. I don't feel the theatre company will back me either. I defer to the immense wealth of talent in the room. Just hoping against hope that there is some talent in the room. A week before opening night, Jack starts rehearsal with a short speech to us all. It is with my deepest regret, he says, that our fascinating experiments during the first week have proved that this play is unproducible. I feel sick. He is, of course, committed to plays on mental health themes, but feels as though this would be betraying those who struggle daily with these issues if he allows this play to be on the stage. It has been his ambition since they were 11 to put on a theatrical version of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which he's convinced he and his cast can create in a week. Oh, and most exciting of all, drum roll please, it will involve puppetry, cuckoo, cuckoo, and high trapeze. I walk out. I phone the theatre company, shout down the phone at them, threatening all sorts. Joe, so sorry. Joe, yeah, I had no idea this was happening. We'll end his contract as soon as I get off the phone. I'm so sorry. We'll make sure your wonderful play, don't tell me, the Devil's Resort? No, Devil's Report? No, what? Report? Yeah, goes ahead as written. But there's only a week to go, and we don't have a director. PJ phones me half an hour later. Joe, we've all decided we're going to give the play our best shot. Be all that better without a useless sucker shite at the helm. We've told the company we don't want anyone else at this stage, but we want you to be happy with it. Can you oversee? So, there I am, Tuesday morning, 10 o'clock, 6 days before the first performance, in charge of my own play. They ran a scene. Back to my script this time, none of this devised shit. After they finished, they look at me expectantly. Now, PJ is like a cat. He always maintains high status. But the other two, Carly and Ben, oh, they used to look at me with such contempt before. But now top dog's gone, I'm top dog. And they seem to have turned into a couple of, hello, young pups, utterly deferring to me. I tell them to get a video camera or a mirror and work it out for themselves. I then leave. Oh, my heart is in my mouth on the opening night. But the audience love it. It seems to be a great success. And everyone I talk to seems to totally understand it. Unlike anyone who's actually in it. I drink with the actors. Oh, and they're full of warmth towards me. Although I know we'll never really be friends. Oh, yes, I did, yeah. We decided to go to a club. First place is no good, so we call for another Uber. Fuck me! It's the driver! It's Jack! He tries to refuse the fare at first, but I insist. He drives in silence, while the actors all talk about the play and how well it went. Finally, Jack speaks. It were a brave experiment. He made the call on behalf of all with mental health issues, and perhaps the seeds he sowed during the first week have created a miracle. The actors are outraged by this because, after all, it's them that pulled it together, despite, not because of him. Two terms at rather a failed acting career and a narcissistic personality disorder doth not a director make? Says PJ. Yes! Jack says, fuck this! And tries to drop us off in the middle of nowhere. Do you actually finish anything you do? I say. Just drive, you prick. Or we'll report you. Don't really feel proud of that. Don't usually threaten to grass out my fellow gig economy workers, but come on, it's Jack Stark. The play does so well, he even gets a 5-star review in the stage. My writing and the actors' acting all gets a good mention. But they didn't have enough money to print a new programme or poster, and Jack's name is still on there as director! And he's in the review! With his fine eye and acute ear for every nuance of the script, Stark's empathetic production proves once again what a miracle worker he is with new writing! Writing! Oh, come on. It's supposed to be a blackout there. That's it, folks.
After his big trial in 1973. So many people followed him, including the famous. Bowie loved him. He even lived with us for a while in Berlin during his low period. It was after Mum died and Dad was on the run again. Not that I knew who Bowie was. He was just this weird young guy in a spare room. Although frankly, a lot less weird than Dad back then. Some people who followed my dad didn't make it. Died young. Dad got blamed for that. But as he always said, you have to embrace the adventure. If people attempt to climb mountains, they might die trying. Funny thing is, my dad admitted to me a few years ago that he'd never personally taken LSD. He was the man who sent others up the mountain, I suppose. Someone's got to. Dad often talked about how most people were a spent force by a certain age. Sometimes even by their 30s or 40s. And certainly by 60. Boring old farts, he'd call them. Life becomes all about the home, or the dog, or the grandchildren. Dad was never like that. Never retired. As vital, active and powerful at 80 as he was at 30. It's kind of like that David Attenborough thing. Not that Dad was anything like David Attenborough. But he did go on, seemingly forever, never truly old. A godlike air of immortality. My sister a shadow. But what a shadow, I thought. We're not failures exactly. Both had successful careers in the arts too. But our lives pale in comparison. And both hopeless with the relationship thing. What partner could ever measure up to Dad? They were also totally intimidated by him. Older men always appealed to me more. No surprises there. My best lover was my first. He was 50, and I was just 15. That in itself would be enough to raise society's hackles now. But no one cared when you were a teenager back then. What they would have cared about, if they'd known, was that my first lover was also my dad. It didn't feel wrong. It felt so right. We were happy and we loved each other. It felt like we were part of the revolution and that one day this would be allowed. It felt like society's view and the law was just the old, starchy 1950s brigade trying to control our sexuality. What was our bit of incest compared to the evil governments and corporations do? That's what my dad said anyway. And I agreed with him. What did feel very, very wrong was when he met somebody else. Him! 20 years younger than Dad, but still an ugly old cat as far as I was concerned. What did he want with her? When he had me? Newly bloomed, but an old soul, Dad said. I was also his intellectual equal, whereas Kim most certainly was not. She was one of those people who make a habit of fucking great intellectuals and artists and regurgitating all the right shit at dinner parties. But she had absolutely no ideas of her own. Shit for brains! I honestly thought Dad would live forever. Well, not forever exactly, but certainly outlive me. There were many times he might well have done. I've come close to the end more than once. Car crash, overdoses, brain tumour. Whereas Dad's just gone on and on in rude health. I've been visiting Dad more regularly since Kim died. She didn't even make 60. Not that he was one of these old widowers who need someone to run domestic errands, go shopping with him or whatever. Kim never did that anyway. He was very much up with the modern world. Deliveroo, Ocado, his favourite table at a local restaurant. He even had a stylist pick out his clothes. But he obviously needed me around. He hadn't needed me for years. I have to admit, for the first time in my life really, I started to resent him. He was beginning to control my time. It wasn't like when I was 15. Of course, I'm no longer especially desirable to him, I suppose. He often had his trousers undone in the house, but I didn't think anything of it. Eccentric genius with ample belly and all that. But this time, I get back from the bathroom, and I can see that he's touching himself. He sees I can see, and just smiles. Says he's never been so long without sex. It wouldn't be the first time. Can't I do something for him? No, Dad. I honestly think this is the first time I've said no to him. Ever. Come on, sweetheart. But somehow, all becomes clear in that moment. What will be obvious to you? But you have been groomed by him. Finally, I see exactly what he is. All that guru shit just amounted to going to the right social occasions and regurgitating the right conversation. Just like him. And dominating people to get what he wants. We were good together all that time ago. I wanted your love, Dad. I thought I was special. You'll always be special to me, sweetheart. No, Dad. You just used me like everybody else. I wanted your love. You were my only living parent. I wanted your love. Love, it's a bourgeois myth. Yes, we're social animals. We need people. We need company. We need sex. But we are just animals. We compete to survive. It's all about our selfish needs in the end. It is for you. We're not all like that. Yes, you are. But only some of us dare say it like it is. You can't argue with scientific facts, sweetheart. It's basic Darwinism. What about empathy? Is that not part of being human? No such thing. At best, enlightened self-interest. Your whole career, the amazing opportunities, doing things you weren't even remotely qualified for. The tedious reality is, you weren't that special, just knew how to manipulate and pull people's strings. The great intellectual, the great artist, all smoke and mirrors. Nothing actually there. Power was your only commodity. Just a standard issue, arts, psychopaths. Confidence, influence, effectiveness. Everything you and your sister lack. Come on then, Daddy. Let's get you wiped off. First, same she talked all evening. I reach for him and twist his rancid bollocks hard. He cries out in pain, but thinks it's all still part of the fun. The steak knife is still on the plate beside him. He'd had his favourite dinner delivered. I grab the knife. I'll hold it to his throat. Nothing has ever felt like so the right thing. Please, Sarah, please, I beg you, what are you doing? He cries his self-piteous, Wolverine tears. And in that moment, the battle passes. In an instant, he's become a frail, old man. And that's how he'll remain. Me and my sister are in the driving seat now, so I don't need to cut his throat. I don't need to go to prison. Then again, if he lives, he'll talk, and I might still go to prison. But perhaps not. He clutches his chest and gasps for air. Cardiac arrest. Dead within 60 seconds. Please, stop, please. He who lives by the sword, dies by the sword. The king is dead. Don Corleone, finito. I am finally free.
Did you have a dad who used to read out loud from the newspaper at the breakfast table? Or maybe a mum. It could have been a mum, but it's more of a dad thing, really. Every morning, the smell of bacon and eggs and his booming voice, first muffled from upstairs, then at full volume when I come down. Oh, bloody terrorist! Balance of trades up! PM's reshuffling the cabinet again! All read out loud from the Daily Telegraph, his air of authority suggesting he'd personally gathered the news, rather than read it out loud from a moderately intelligent newspaper, as any 10-year-old of moderate intelligence could do. My dad was a government scientist. He designed missiles. He was also a Christian, a creationist. For someone who was only interested in hard facts, this was a contradiction. But a socially acceptable one in a moderately conservative, moderately privileged male of his generation. I didn't say anything in reaction to his misses from behind the page. Mum, on the other hand, greeted each pronouncement with, "Ooh! Wow! Fancy that! Like she was reacting to a particularly insipid firework display. The vicar in my church reminded me entirely of Dad, reading out loud from the Old Testament in a way that suggested he'd personally been there at the Lord's side as he created the world. Another man who never got over reaching the age of 10 and being impressed with himself because he could read out loud. I sometimes wonder if God himself is simply a bearded man reading out loud from the newspaper in the sky, claiming credit for all creation. Yes, our God was definitely male. Our church, a gloomy, dark pit, with rock-hard pews, and only 3 worshippers, men in charge of everything. Later, I tried a happy, clappy, loved-up sort of church, but that didn't work out much better. At uni, I was hanging around with lots of science people, and their rationalism really appealed to me. Within a few years, I stopped believing at all. I kept it from my parents for a long time, but when they asked me directly, I couldn't lie to them. They were heartbroken, of course, but in my young, entitled, rationalistic state, I believed them mistakenly heartbroken. Simon was the key to me changing. He was just so bright and plausible back then. Once we got together, that was it. Open season on anyone who admitted to being a Christian, never letting on that I had been a committed one myself just a year or 2 before. But as time went on, I began to have my doubts. What seemed super smart in the student union bar, now in our 30s, just seemed like we were being young and arrogant back then. Only Simon never got over it. We bought a nice house off Gloucester Road, and guess what happened? Simon started reading out loud from the newspaper at the breakfast table. He was working IT by then, and had given up his passion for science to just being a know-it-all while he drove the machines. I never went back to Christianity, but I have started to believe in a higher force again. Oh, I know, all very middle class. Oh yeah, you're going to follow some old guy's religion that literally created in my own image, like numerous other leafy homeowners in my particular demographic. But isn't it actually scientific to say there's more in heaven and earth than we can imagine? Is it truly rational to be uber-rational, like Simon's always been? Or is he just terrified? Oh God, Simon's posts on Facebook, they drive me mad. This superior smear and tut-tutting, dismissing anyone as flawed for asking even one question against some dominant technology they're trying to force down our throats. Funny how these irrational types turn out to be the partners or daughters of this little band of tut-tutting men. Witchfinder General, I called him once in a comment. He unfriended me for a month after that. Last year, I got cancer, right in the middle of this first wave of COVID hoo-ha. Whilst everyone was dealing with the shock of the new, and it has been shocking, I was coping with a disease that would kill someone in every house in the street. It's all relative, I suppose. They didn't much bother with old school illnesses back in the first wave. But eventually, I got to see a consultant. She's no nonsense, to say the least. Ethically treatable? I heard that before with Mum. Get you started on chemo for Monday, get it all fixed pronto! I say, can I treat chemo as a last resort? Do I have time to try some other things? 9! Her face flushes with anger. Don't you realise a shitstorm going on out there? You'll take it or you'll leave it. If you leave it, you'll die. Okay, here comes the weird bit. My friend tried this thing and she got better. The greater Peruvian tree frog has these healing properties in its venom. Usually they burn your skin and apply the venom into your wound. Oh, I couldn't handle that. But another way is to lick the frog. Lick the frog. I know, crazy, right? You can't just get it off the internet. You have to go to Peru, to a therapeutic community there. It costs £8,000. More than I had to spare. It's like time travel, isn't it? Going back to the nest, to your parents' home. Smells especially. Bacon and eggs sizzling in the pan. Dad sits down and reads the paper out loud. But the howling difference now is that Mum's gone. £10,000 fine? Just for opening his pub? Outrageous! Dad's a bit of a lockdown skeptic. It's not a complete change. He's one of those Tory libertarian types who thinks we should be treated like adults and allowed to do what the hell we like. I don't entirely agree with him on this, but it's nice to see him on the rebel side. Dad, there's no easy way to say this. I've got cancer. No! Yes! Oh, you're young. You'll pull through. I don't want the treatment they're offering me. Here we go. Dad, well, it was fuck all help they gave to your mother. Dad, you just said fuck all. Husband known out your earache, sweetheart. Especially in my Navy days. Dad, I want to try something privately, but it costs a lot of money. So, you believe in private medicine now, do you? I could have just glossed over it. I wanted to be honest. I tell him about the greater Peruvian tree frog. Licking a fucking frog? Oh, Jesus Christ! So that's absolutely bloody bonkers and a scam. How much exactly? £8,000? Get my checkbook. Oh, Dad. Leave a note for Simon. Got cancer, gone to Peru for a cure, don't expect you to understand. Oh. The journey is exhausting. But then I'm welcomed at the airport by several members of the therapeutic community. They're from all over the place, though mostly rich places. Guten Tag, Germany. Hi, hello, Canada. Privet, Russia. On the minibus, they want to know all about me. And nothing's too much trouble. They feed me, hydrate me, and hug me when I start to cry. As we reach our destination, deep in the rainforest, I feel as though we're old friends. I feel loved by these strangers and that they really see me. It's a wonderful place. And on the third day, I meet the community's founder, Antonio. I feel like I'm having an audience with the king as I'm ushered into his room by one of his helpers. Antonio is incredibly handsome and charismatic. He's about 45, a hippie James Bond. Oh, he smiles beautifully and gestures for me to sit. He holds my hands and looks intensely into my eyes. I feel like he's looking into my soul. Antonio doesn't speak much English, and after a brief conversation in broken Spanish, he indicates the talking should stop. Be. Just be. We sit for a few moments more, him still holding my hand. He starts doing this strange breathing thing, then moves behind me and massages my shoulders. He casts his hands away from me, driving away the bad spirits, I imagine. The helpers laugh at me when I ask them how it's going to work. They're licking the frog. First, you must catch it, and she minds running around chasing a frog with her tongue hanging out. They're joking, of course. It's all in hand when it comes to it. The frog is enormous. Bigger than a toad. Sat on a red velvet cushion in the middle of a perspex box with a hole in the top for my tongue. It's so weird. And he's so ugly. I hold the box tightly. Then I go for it. I lick the skin. It tastes a bit like chicken, but with a weird, fermenting, alcoholic undertone. Afterwards, I lie down on the treatment room. Nothing. I fall asleep and have strange, big, fat frog prince dreams. When I wake, it's dark. I must have been out for hours. I can hear this droning, muffled voice. And it sounds like Dad reading out loud from the paper. And then I hear, "Oh, wow! The only possible reaction to Dad's insipid firework display. Mum! Ah! Oh, a searing pain in my head and the room is spinning and melting. Oh, it's horrible. A faces, they talk in my ears in funny, high-pitched voices. It sounds like gurgle, 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 gurgle. I know those words, though they're not proper words. Words from some distant time, from before I was. I know those beings. I'm in another bed, a grander one. It feels like a royal suite. The droning, muffled voice is still there, accompanied by, ooh, well, I hear breathing. Oh, it's still so hot. My perception is hazy, but there's someone or something standing by the window. He coughs, almost a croak. Is it a frog? No, it's Antonio. He moves closer to me and takes my hand, breathing strangely like in our meeting. He looks intensely into my eyes and puts his hand up my thigh. I hiss at him like an animal and scratch his face hard, but he doesn't stop. I push him off the bed and force myself off it. Is this real? Nearby is a big, heavy juicer. Antonio must live off juice, judging by his baby soft skin. I suddenly realise he's not 45, closer to 75, his skin preserved by the forest climate and clean living. But of course, he's not clean. He approaches me, laughing, no charm now. He disgusts me. I lose all fear and launch the juicer at him. He falls to the ground, out cold. Suddenly, a pool of liquid appears from under him. He's bleeding out, only it's green. The frog's demon blood is green. Was it real? In the morning, I don't know. I think so. The green frog blood must have been green juice from the juicer, I suppose. Am I imagining it, or are all the helpers really cold with me? I tell one of them I want to see Antonio. The scratched face, the bruises. As soon as I see him, I'll know. He's away, she says. Is he really? This is a spiritual healing place, Kate. We don't need your negative energy here. That's it. The cold shoulder. It did happen. What story has Antonio spun, or doesn't he need to? Are they all complicit? I'm driven back to the airport by the welcome community. Silence, fear and loathing. I almost feel like I'm not going to get there, that they're going to pull over on the side of the road and shoot me in the back of the head. Oh. On the plane, I feel utterly bereft. Home, exhausted. Simon's left me. Further tests, back to the consultant. She looks more furious than ever. The cancer shrunk. I tried something alternative, I say. Poppycock, just a coincidence. Get you some chemo for the last buggers that remain, then you're all sorted. What doesn't kill you? The shock to the system of that big fat frog's venom and equally venomous cult leader. Maybe they were like the cancer itself that had to fight to be stronger than ever before. And I won.
Ooh, child, you're gonna get it out.
Hello, everyone. Is everyone okay? Does everyone have a drink? Oh, how about Vicky, eh? Yeah, Vicky's always nice, aren't they? Drinks too wet without one. Would you like to pass them round and make sure everybody gets a Vicky who wants one, okay? Right. Okay. I just need you to get nice and healthy. I just need to have a little chat with you about some of the lovely new guidelines. Now, hands up, who feels apprehensive about change? Yeah. Oh, me too. Or I used to. But change is good. We need change. Change is necessary. Where would the human race be without change? Does anyone know the answer to that question? Eh? Any? Throw them out. No wrong answers. Sorry?
Happy?
Happy? Is that you, Mark? Or...
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for coming to this meeting. At least you're turning up these days. Sorry, you're wrong. Did anyone else have another answer? No? We'd still be in caves, that's where. We certainly would not be aboard the Galactica X-90, heading off for distant solar systems at the speed of light. Although that plan in itself has been subject to change recently, but you know what I mean. Now, I know most of you haven't seen me since your induction day, and you're probably wondering, what does the training department do now that we're underway? Well, we are here for times like this. Exciting, changing times. Yes, exciting. And you know the great thing about excitement, do you? You can't be frightened when you feel excited. Yeah. I do not feel frightened when I feel excited. Come on, say it with me. I do not feel frightened when I feel excited. Oh, well done. Give yourself a little round of applause. What so, as you all know, as of Friday, 4 PM, the entire human race was incorporated into the Rincon Empire. Now I know, we're all feeling apprehensive now that we're being ruled over by 10-foot-long carnivorous beetles. The training department is here to help. And we'll soon get used to working with our new Rincon partners that will feel as normal as that drink right in front of you. Does anyone need another drink, hey? Another Vicky? No? All right then. So, where to begin? Well, the important thing to remember is that the
behaviours and habits that we find strange are everyday to them, and they see us the same way. I don't know about you, but oh my goodness, at the beginning of the weekend, I was quite shocked when I saw the Rincon captain sucking up food through his arsehole. Oh, and the way they excrete it out through their mouths, often without warning and with explosive force. I can honestly say, by Sunday lunchtime, I did not notice a thing. Each to their own, I always say. And the training department is nothing if not inclusive. And as for bubbling up, free to a bunk, now that the Rincons need most of the ship for their live prey. That just reminds me of those fun pyjama parties I used to have when I was 11. I used to organise all the games. More seriously though, I know that some of you have been upset now that some of our people have been let go. It can be a lot to take, watching our former senior colleagues get blasted out of an airlock. The training department is here to help. You know, we will soon get used to working with our new partners. It will be an enriching experience, yes, and it's going to add to our skill sets, yes. No, running out of time. No more long meetings now our new partners are in charge. Now make sure you read all the guidelines in the lovely new virtual book I sent you. Oh, I have to tell you something. My bronze, silver and gold stars are no more. No, it's a cultural thing. The Rincon said it was a bit twee. They said I mustn't treat you like my children. I have to say I was a bit upset about that. Even more than when I saw our former captain explode into the vacuum of space outside the training room porthole. I'm afraid you're going to have to get used to a little bit more stick than carrot now, my lovely. For example, if you break one of the rules, say you're a minute late back from a break, you get a choice of sanction. It can be airlocked, or you can choose the longer, more fun road, and, with an outside chance of survival, you can become live prey for a management associate. Oh, okay,